right, welcome back. My name is Nicole Safely. I am the founder of I Am Fierce, and we are here with the Art of Confidence event, how to build unstoppable confidence and skyrocket your revenue. I am super excited you're joining because you are catching one of our best speakers. Actually, no pun intended. It's Rachel Best, but she is dynamic. We have a lineup of 21 speakers, and I'm really pumped about bringing her to you. So I think you're going to draw a lot of kind of ahas out of what we talk about, really getting underneath what may be holding you back from stepping into your full confidence, and really how we can get some, I don't know, tools and tricks maybe around how to tweak that. You guys, Rachel Best is a keynote motivational speaker. She's an author, she's a podcast host, and the founder of How to Make a Mark in the World, Finding Your Signature. She's a certified neuro-linguistic empowerment performance mindset coach, and she's the owner of a personal development business, helping those who felt stuck, lack of direction and purpose, feeling uninspired. Who's ever felt uninspired? Like today was one of those uninspiring days for me, unmotivated, and maybe lacking in clarity to find yourself and your passion. That's really what she focuses on. And through her coaching, Rachel helps you to become this powerhouse, really giving you a crystal clear strategic plan to walk your dreams into reality. How amazing is that? Rachel, welcome. I love it. Yeah, some of those days, exactly. Uninspired. Where do I go? And like, how do I step into the greatness that I know is inside, and that's really where we wanted to come. The angle with this Art of Confidence event is just knowing there are so many female entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that have genius inside. They've got great ideas. They're going to make an impact. But sometimes there's a little bit going on upstairs, maybe, that is holding us back. And you even said, I'd love to dive into it, sometimes it's even a physiological response and how our emotions translate. So tell me a little bit first about you, Rachel, how you came to this space and working with people. Now I've got lots of questions for you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you and to just pour into the audience and add value to them. So I started coaching about 8.5 years ago with a company that had a mindset component to it. And back in 2019, I really started deep diving. I just kept finding myself stuck in different areas of life, in my weight loss and finances and relationships, things like that. And I just kept finding this loop that I kept finding, like, how did I get here again? And I went on this mission to find out the answer. I started reading and digging into books and podcasts and things like that, all about the mind, just started learning about the mind. And it just started unraveling, and then it's gotten me to here, and it just still keeps unraveling because I just love digging into the mind, the brain, how it operates, how our thoughts create our behaviors, and how our feelings become, thoughts and then behaviors and things like that. And so that's really where it all started. Is I kept finding myself stuck, and I was tired of being stuck in these situations. And that's really how I got into here.
I love it. Yeah, the mind is an interesting thing, right? And wow. So when you think about confidence and where you've worked with clients and women in particular around, a lack of confidence or just needing to bolster it up, having dreams, mismatched, like, where do you begin to start when we look in the mind? And I know with the linguistic programming, right, there's some telltale signs. You're welcome to dissect me. What do you see? From our ways of talking, like our words definitely are a tell for our thoughts and the things that we're experiencing. Tell me a little bit about that, like what you look at when you're starting to coach someone.
Yeah, it really all goes down to listening to what people are saying instead of like thinking about, okay, what am I going to say next? Because we think that we have to worry about what we're going to say next, what we're going to say next. And it's really just listening to people and hearing the words that they're speaking. And that's how, when I'm coaching somebody, when I'm trying to help them walk through something, I just really, like, they're the only person that matters in that moment. And I'm just listening to what they're saying so that I can have an understanding, so then I can help them. It's, kind of like knitting a sweater for them and say, hey, what about, like, does this sound about right? Like, what about this? And they're like, oh my gosh, like, yes, and then that starts, like, a light bulb goes off for them. And so it's really just about listening to somebody and what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Yeah. And so in that listening, what are the tells that, maybe it's confidence or a limiting belief, or how do I determine, what's holding me back?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think how I can, like, because it's usually like in the moment of doing it. So, like, to just like come off on a whim, I'm like, let's see. I would say, just like their tonality. If somebody's not sure, they'll be like, well, they'll kind of, their tonality will change a little bit. And if it's a limiting belief, again, it's just like in the moment when I'm listening to what they're saying, a light bulb goes off in me. And most of the time it's because, oh, I've dealt with that limiting belief before, or something similar to that. And so it's very easy for me to hear what they're saying and then walk them through.
And in that walkthrough, we've kind of got, identified, here's an area that we want to work on or whatever. What's the walkthrough look like? How do I begin to identify, what's going on for me, my thoughts, and then the shift, what does that look like?
But it's kind of awesome because, like, when I'm talking to a client and when we start uncovering some of those things, they get the aha. So when they get the aha as we're talking, it's the conversation that brings the aha. And then they have that automatic shift because they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. So again, it just all goes back to me listening to what they're saying and then putting it in different words for them. And then the light bulb goes off in their head and they're like, oh my goodness, that makes sense. And then they're able to shift, and then they're able to, start reflecting on it and just, be cautious and aware of whatever that belief was.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say too is how important it is to have somebody that can actually listen, kind of truly just listen, not listening to respond, not listening to solve, but really just listening to what's happening as you're working with the client. I say that because I've read like a gazillion self-help books, like I can read all of this, but it's not until you engage with someone and have that reflection of a coach that sometimes sparks the thing that maybe you weren't even aware that was kind of your thought pattern, right? And how our language alludes that. So thinking about the art of confidence, what strikes with you as far as like, how would you step in and help someone? How do we build confidence? What are the keys there?
Yes. So that's a great question. For myself, I would say that the confidence comes with competency. When we are competent in the things that we're doing, then that builds the confidence. And so it's all about competency for me. That's what I would say that has definitely shifted in my life is having the awareness and then learning and studying and surrounding myself with people that are that growth minded, people that support me, cheer me on. So I would say there's a lot of different components to that.
Yeah, for sure. When I think about where I was, 15 years ago, definitely was not in the stance that I'm in today, the confidence that I have today. and I still had to do it anyway. So I had to, in order to get confidence, I had to be doing the things, right? Doing the work and learning and growing. And so what would you advise? Like, how do I do something? How do I start to gain confidence without the confidence? Like getting started anyway.
Yeah. That just getting started would be the first thing. If there's something that just personal growth, when you dig into personal growth, again, that is something that has just skyrocketed. And I know not just myself, but other people that I'm in contact with. It's the personal growth. When we are investing in ourselves and when we are growing, then we gain that confidence because we're growing, we're working on things, just investing in yourself. That's probably the number one thing. Just invest in yourself.
Yeah. So books, coaching, seminars, all of that good stuff. And I know you used to work with some top leaders in direct sales or network marketing. I'm curious, as you work with those top income earners, do they ever lack confidence? Are they in this
Oh,
space, or are we all just out here by ourselves?
I think I'm sure everybody has those days of just those down days that you're like, oh, but you can quickly, I would say even for myself that like there's been maybe some days that I'm like, oh, like I don't know if I can do that. But then I quickly say, yes, you can. Like, why wouldn't you be able to do that? So it's that instead of like wallowing in that, confidence because you just sometimes get into your head, you just quickly jump right out of that. So I would say I don't stick there very long. And so I think probably everybody has those days and something great to do is put on a podcast, get up, get dressed, do your hair, do your makeup, that builds your confidence also. So when you're feeling good on the outside and on the inside, it definitely builds your confidence.
Yeah, yeah. And you said, when you were kind of struggling, you were struggling with your physical appearance, with where you were going. What brought it all together for you? Like, what was the turning point where you're like, you know what, I can do this? And then what did it look like to take those steps maybe when you weren't in feeling 100% like you've got it on lockdown?
Yes. So one great thing is just get into action. When you feel your feelings lie. Feelings lie. They're not true. They're not truth. They're not fact. So you just have to act your way into feeling like being confident and doing the things that you have to get done for the day. Soon as you start doing those things, soon as you just start getting, oh, okay, got that checked. Okay, got that done. Okay, now I can do the next thing. And so then that builds your confidence too. You're like, wow, like look at the day. I got a lot done today.
Yeah. So go find some small wins and get yourself into action, right? I feel like there's a law about that, right? An object in motion will stay in motion. And action, yeah, action takes care of a lot of things, right? It starts to build that momentum and helps us move. You you also said something that really caught me as far as like how intricate our brain is and how thoughts or emotions create thoughts. And I'm interested to know like your study of how emotions resonate in the brain and how that continues to kind of show up sometimes even when we don't think it will. You know what I mean? Talk to me about emotions to thoughts and in the brain.
Yeah. And actually, I said that backwards. I'm sorry. It's thoughts becomes feelings, becomes behaviors, becomes actions, become habitual habits. So
Right.
feeling, thoughts, actions, habitual habits. So most of the time, you'll have to try this out this next week
Okay.
because if you're not aware of these things yet, because when people really start to like take an audit of their thoughts for the day. So I'll
Mhm.
have some of my clients, kind of just take an audit of their thoughts for a couple days, a week, and I'll have them write down, like I have feelings and thoughts, and then I'll have them have another line where they flip the script. And so feelings, you have a feeling, or I'm sorry, oh my gosh, I keep saying that backwards. It's a thought that becomes a feeling. And when you have the feeling, you catch the feeling and you're like, you have to be like, well, what made me have that feeling? So you have to think back, what was the thought or the string of thoughts that I had to get me to have this feeling right here? And our mind operates on, we have the unconscious and the conscious mind. And so our mind works on autopilot, mostly out of our unconscious mind. So we're only processing about 3 to 5% out of the conscious mind. And so most of our things are from our unconscious mind. And so again, and they're habitual habits and thoughts that we have. Like we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are on auto repeat. Most of them are nothing different than what we had earlier in the day or yesterday or whatever. And so when people, if they're struggling in their confidence, or they're struggling in something, or they're feeling down, or whatever it is that they're feeling, if it's not a positive feeling, you have to say, wait a minute, if I'm having this feeling, what were the chain of thoughts that got me to this feeling? And then that creates the awareness for them to say, okay, like if I'm having this, so then they have to flip the script. And so like flipping the script would be something the complete opposite. And I always encourage people to avoid saying the word not. So I'm not going to be mad, or I'm not going to be sad, or not whatever, because our mind cannot process not. So it can only do whatever you tell it to do before after you say not, because it doesn't know how to process not. So that's how they flip the script on that. And you can say avoid, but just don't say not.
Right. Yeah, that's so powerful. And the other piece of that too is our brain, our subconscious mind doesn't know when we're telling the truth or telling a lie. And so, stepping into that and changing those thoughts, even if the thing might not be true today, like I'm a wildly successful businesswoman. Maybe that's not 100% true today, but by telling yourself that, your subconscious mind just begins to act as if, okay, I don't know any different. Like you said that. So I guess that's what it is. Like we're pretty simplistic. But those thoughts do run the script, right? They run not just our thoughts, but that emotional feeling. Our feelings have chemical reactions as well. And so sometimes we can have that same thought, and it may be a long event before, but it triggers that exact same feeling that you had 3 years ago when that breakup happened. It's crazy. So flipping the switch, I flip the switch. Then what do I do with that? I've written it in my journal. Do you teach people to read through that? Is it just that one activity? Like what comes after that?
Yeah. So there's multiple different things. And the one thing that I'm super, super passionate about is because you can identify those things and be conscious and aware, but what you really have to do is go back. Like if you really find yourself in a constant rut and you're really, like, some people can kind of get out of that on their own. Like they, it's not that hard for them to get out. But if it's imprinted from when you're youth, if it's an imprint from when you were younger, you have to go through, I have a process that I take people through to release that. And what they do is, in our session, we reprogram that memory. And so we basically rewire it, and we get the learnings from that situation. Because again, if it's from past, that's why we keep having it reoccurring. Now, again, some people can kick right out of it. Everybody's different. Everybody has their model of the world. So some people, that works for them and it's really fascinating, really easy. Then there's other people that we have to do some deep digging
That's
work,
gonna be me.
rip it out and yes, like get it out of there by the roots so that
Exactly.
we can move forward.
Yeah. And it's crazy, you said your childhood, those things that are deep rooted. I still remember a magnet that my mom had on the refrigerator, and it said, "It's hard to soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys." And I thought that was so cool. Like, I want to be an eagle, but as later in life, and like I looked at relationships and how I treated people, that magnet has definitely defined how I thought about other people. In other words, I thought everyone else was a turkey. Not literally, but I did have that inclination of like, oh, I'm good, you're bad, I'm doing great, you're not. Competition. So when I started doing a lot of coaching and just looking at like what was my belief system, it was just funny that one little magnet that was programmed as a child that has been so influential in just how I operate. And I think we walk through life a lot of times unconscious about those things. And I also don't want to be in therapy all my life and looking at, well, what happened as a child? So how do you balance that out? Like, where do you take people to look at that and like check their belief system and move through? How does that work for you?
Yeah, again, it all goes back to just learning the person, listening to what they're saying, listening to how they're speaking, listening to how they're acting. And over time, as I'm hearing, a reoccurring pattern, and if these things don't work, again, like if I'm talking to them and I'm helping them through these things, and if they're still not moving forward, and again, by listening and interacting with them, then I'm like, okay, we really need to work on, we gotta uproot this. So, this is going to be very beneficial for you to go through this process so that you can get rid of that and let it go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Letting it go. Letting it go, letting it be easy, right? Letting the things come to us without those blockers. But sometimes we have to go through them and, just work through all of the things that have been. I'm 51, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of globbed in there over the years, some good, some not so good. So it really helps. What haven't I asked you, Rachel, that you're dying to share with our audience?
Let's see, what haven't you asked me? I don't know. You've asked me a lot of really good questions, and I really got to share a lot about a lot of the things that I'm passionate about doing, and helping people just uproot those beliefs that they have, helping them get the learnings from it. Yeah, I would say you did a really good job just picking my brain and asking me really good questions.
I know I could sit here and pick, but I won't, because, why? We'll let people dive in and do some work with you as well. And tell me a little bit, how should people connect with you? What do you have, like, what's next for you in your speaking and podcasting, and how do we link arms with you?
Yeah, you know what? And actually, can I revert back? Because there is one thing, as you
I knew there would be.
what? There is one thing I really like sharing with people that that really helps create some awareness. And that's how our filtering systems in our mind. And so we have, and this is the whole what neuro-linguistics means. So some people are like, what in the world does that mean? So neuro is the way that our the outside world that we take in through our five senses. And so when they come in through the five senses, in our mind, it goes through a process of distortion, generalization, and deletion. So distortion is, there's a man walking down the road and he sees what looks like a snake, but as he gets closer, it's just a hose. Okay. So that's distortion.
Mm-hmm.
And then deletion is because we have so much information coming in at us. We have like 11 million bits per second of information coming in at us through our five senses. Our minds can only keep and process 126 out of 11 million. And so then it goes through so it's the distortion, generalization, and deletion. So deletion is, okay, I can't remember everything, so my brain has to delete some of that. So that's sometimes like if you've gone to an event and somebody is like, oh my gosh, like that was so amazing, and they took all these takeaways, and you're like, really, you thought it was that good? Like, I didn't think it was that good. Like, we're at the same event, because of our deletion. And then there's the generalization. So there's hundreds of laundry detergents out there, right? But
Yes.
we can only remember about 7 plus or minus 2. So if I said, hey, name off 7 detergents, you'd be like, you could probably name off a few of them, and then you might struggle to get to the rest. And then after it goes through that process, so it comes in, it goes through this filtering of distortion, deletion, and generalization. And then it goes through another system. And what that is it goes through our languages, our belief systems that we've been conditioned, social conditioned, our family, our upbringing, and things like that. And then memories, decisions, our values. Again, that's all part of where we grow up at. Our beliefs and our values really are from the society and where we're at, where we grow up. And so then after it goes through all of that, then we create a picture in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's called an internal representation. So then after it goes through all of these filters, we create this picture of how we see that situation,
Mm-hmm.
how we see the world. Yeah. And so that's probably my most favorite thing to share with people, because when I found that out, I'm like, oh my goodness, no wonder we all think so different. Like, I don't know if you have any siblings. I have a sister. We grew up in the same exact house with the same parents, but we are two complete opposite people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just find it so intriguing, all how the mind works. And so, do you have any questions about that?
No, I mean, I totally get it. I was intrigued with the number of thoughts that it's not really thoughts, it's just information that comes into us, right? But just such a small subset that we actually retain. It's interesting. And I would imagine that like our previous experiences in our belief system have something to do with what we actually hold on to as well, right? Like if your reticular activating system, right, seeks out things that are similar to what we've experienced or what we have in our forefront. And so just like the different experiences, I'll say, I remember a lot that my husband doesn't remember. Well, it's because we have different filters and he's deleting things that I'm definitely holding on to. Like, so recognizing that, and they've done studies too. People will show up at a crime scene, a car accident or something, and 10 people interviewed, every single one of them sees something different, right? All same experience, all, no nefarious action. It's just that our filters are definitely taking in different information and then processing it. Our minds are amazing. Our mind, and when you figure out how to hack it, like you're onto something. Thank you for sharing that, Rachel. So how do people reach out to you? How can we get on your what you've got going on? Do you have any offers that you want to make? Podcasts? Let us know where you're at and what you've got going on.
Yes. So I do have a podcast, and also I have a book. I grabbed it just in case I needed it. It's How to Make a Mark in the World, Finding Your Signature. You can get it on Amazon. And so my podcast is also the same name. and it's on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. It's on several different platforms that you listen to podcasts on. And then I do have a website. It is iamrachelbest.com. And then I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I am on LinkedIn, but I'm more on Facebook and Instagram. And it's I am Rachel Best on Instagram and Rachel Best on Facebook. And yes, I do have a couple of different programs that I offer. I'm actually doing a program right now. It's a 12-week program. So to help people really dig into identify, because I find that a lot of people don't know what their purpose is. And so, or they're stuck in their job and they're not liking it, or, maybe they loved their job at one point, but now they're feeling called to do something different. And so those are the people that I love to work with, or, people that they're wanting to make some big moves, but they're just not sure how. And so I have a program for that. And like I said, I have a couple different programs to help reprogram the brain is another one. And then what other question did you have?
I think that is it. I just, and we will provide all of the links. So the links to your social media and everything, so people can connect with you. And I definitely encourage you guys to reach out. Rachel, you're more than welcome to come into our I Am Fierce community and interact in there as well. You would be a lovely addition to all of the great folks that we have in there, just supporting female entrepreneurs. And I would love to learn more on, I'm really in this mind hacking, like what do I need to do to get this thing to do exactly what I want, to think exactly how I want to think. So it's a continual journey. Thank you so much for being here. And for our guests, you guys tune in. There are 21 speakers. If you've missed some of the sessions, you can certainly go back and get those recordings. We definitely want to get this value to you. And I did want to say, you might have noticed that Rachel's video was a little bit choppy. If you need to turn the video off, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I think it's super intriguing because she and her family are literally traveling the country, right? In an RV, exploring and just living their best life. So I think it's so cool that you're doing that. And if you have questions about what it looks like to kind of be free and live your dreams, I think Rachel will be a great person to ping and work with to make that happen. It's so amazing. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I wanted to add too real quick. I can't believe I forgot this. I actually have a second book. It's actually with Jim Britt, Jim Lutz, and Les Brown. Is getting ready to come out in the next couple weeks. So it's called the Change series. It's actually the fastest growing empowerment series in the world. And so it's going to be pretty amazing. There's people from The Voice in there, there's celebrities and all kinds of different people in this series. I'm actually in the 19th series, so it's pretty awesome. So
wow. All right, we'll have to look for that. And what's it called?
It's called The Change.
The Change.
Series. Yep. And so again, it won't be out until they've said probably in the next 3 weeks or so. So by the end of June, it should be available, hopefully. So
okay, we'll have to look for that. Maybe we do a book club in our I Am Fierce group as well. Love to bring great resource and some of the best in the industry. So that's awesome. All right, we will wrap up there. Thank you guys for being here. Rachel, thank you for all of the insight and information. I know I'm doing these selfishly. It helps me. I'm amazed. So I know you're definitely pouring into everyone else. All right, you guys, take care.
Bye. Thank you.